City of Sanford City Commission Work Session, Monday, May 23rd, 2016, 4 p.m. Railroad Depot Room, 2nd floor, Sanford City Hall, 300 North Park Avenue, Sanford, Florida.
Mr. Mayor, the first item on the agenda is not on the agenda. Well, first item for discussion is not on the agenda, but you referenced it just with your head. The commission has indicated that they thought they should get new chairs for the commission chambers. And so Mr. Smith has procured 3 to have a discussion with the commission to see which you like, don't like, or what you'd like to see in the chairs. So, Mr. Smith?
You said about everything I would say here. Like I said, there are 3 test chairs there, and any comments that you might have, whether you like, dislike,
Including none of the above.
jump on that pad, I let the pad in with, and we will bring some more test chairs in. I don't know what there's many different styles and looks, and more about looks, I guess, than it is comfort.
I'm more concerned about comfort than looks.
Well, here comes the person that will probably need to be picky. So, of course, he's got the auto flow straight down.
Pick your chair.
Arts.
Commissioner, we're at the first part of the agenda, and we're discussing replacement chairs for the commission chambers. Mr. Smith has procured 3 examples and is seeking commission input in terms of any of those or none of those.
Did the rest of the ladies and gentlemen try them?
They were waiting for you.
Oh,
I saw
you were waiting for me?
I saw you walking out by
She's
the slow roll
right there.
over dinner.
Okay.
That way we can keep going. That's my plan.
Okay.
I'm glad I was at it before everybody was here. I'm watching.
I'm gonna do it. That's right. I'm doing it dinner. Remember, you gotta be sitting. We got a thing.
You're probably not going to be sitting back like that watching TV.
5 agenda items in 3 hours. You gotta remember.
And it really feels
Except for
loose
tonight.
in here. Jeff, seriously about this? This one feels cheap. Look at how loose it
It
is.
looks cheap. Well, I'm not look cheap, I'm doing the way you, with the armrest.
See, yeah, it's loose.
Well, yeah, that was adjustable. That was police officers coming wearing their hardware they could use.
You know what? This is similar to what's down there. It just, the best ones are those.
The ones we have here?
Don't you think?
The collapsing chairs?
Well, true. Not enough back on this one. See when you start to snooze off?
Can you go over? Let them kick your head. All right, well, you want to look at them over dinner?
Okay,
Like
but
Brandy said.
one comment that I heard perhaps once or twice is chairs identical or similar to these chairs.
What chair?
Yeah, I like these chairs except for the ones that fall.
Well,
Yeah,
we can get ones that don't fall.
These just feel substantial. Those seriously, those armrests really are wiggly.
Yeah, I didn't like number 1.
Did you sit down?
Yeah.
Number 2's the most comfortable of the 3, but not as comfortable as this. This just kind of envelops you. Like a warm hug.
We'll start over. All right, let's go to.
Excuse me.
Let's go to the.
Quick comment
Yeah.
about the chairs. We have some similar.
Is
at
this a
our-
legal opinion? Or?
There's no charge for that. We have some similar at our office. We had trouble with the pneumatic tubes. We got new tubes and don't have any trouble.
Ah. Yeah. Good work.
So what I heard was we can take these out to his office and trade.
Yeah.
Because he knows how to fix these.
See, what are you doing?
Oh, I leave
Versus
tomorrow.
2 movers and a sun cost. It is, or whatever that is. Okay, let's talk about
But
that.
I really appreciate
Yeah,
the
thanks.
trouble. I really, really do. I just think, it looks, it just, sometimes older is just more durable.
What's the problem with this?
Sorry? How are you, sir?
Don't mean to interrupt.
No, we've got some special chairs for you guys. Perfect timing, my man. Come on over. Tell us which one you like.
Well, they don't plug in here.
Okay, let's go ahead.
Okay.
Discussion the Uber pilot program. No, seriously.
Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, at the last commission meeting, the city manager of Altamont Springs made a presentation about the Altamont Springs pilot project and indicated that there were some other cities that were looking to also have a start date of July 1. You have the information and material. The two items you have, and City Commission directed staff to then bring it to this meeting for discussion. So you have an item on here for an agreement with Uber, and then you also have a agreement that's an interlocal agreement between the cities of Altamont Springs, Lake Mary, Longwood, Maitland, and Sanford, should the city of Sanford decide to join. The purpose of that is it's called the Municipal Mobility Working Group, and it's to have the cities that are involved with the Sunrail be able to interact, and basically says we'll make sure we talk to each other. There was an article in today's Sentinel that you have in front of you that discusses the cities coming together. There is a representative from Uber that will be here at our 7 o'clock meeting that could probably respond to more questions than I could. So it is on the agenda for the Commission's direction.
Okay, any questions for staff or Mr. Boneport at this time from any commissioners?
I had raised with Norton the issue of how do we, it looks like we're not getting some data I think we should get. In terms of where people are coming from and where they're going to. But I think we need to wait until the representative talk about that.
I think what the mayor is saying is that we can anticipate the word proprietary information.
Yeah. And this thing has been vetted by, and listen, we talked about that too. I mean, it's been vetted by Altamont Springs City Manager, and they're very proprietary with their information. I mean, it's pretty much, a lot of the hang-up was the public records side of it, with Uber and their software and how they control their side of it. And so really, the questions that I've asked of the group and been a party to, it's basically come back as, this is the agreement. I mean, we've hacked it, we've hashed it to the nth degree with Frank, who's very competent city manager, their attorneys, Uber's attorneys, and so really what is before us is that's the agreement. There's really no negotiating on our part of it, because we're taking on the interlocal side of it, so we're not actually negotiating that part of it.
And the other thing I was wondering about information-wise is rate structure. Has anybody looked at Uber's rate structure? Because I was just curious, how is the city, or in any of the cities, municipalities, how is it okay that we do this with Uber, but not with Yellow Cab, Checker Cab? Has there been any blowback from the cab companies? Because the cab companies spend a lot of money to get their medallion, like a lot of money, and it just are we doing damage to the cab companies? Or
Yeah, I think the question you raised is a very common one. And I'm not going to speak for the legal perspective, Mr. Colbert can do that. I can say that from a municipal, that we're viewing this as a pilot project, and that in talking with the other cities, at the end of the pilot, we'll evaluate it, as well as we would need then to go out for proposals. We can do a pilot program with a company, but to do something long-term, it would have to be open. Yes, that's my understanding.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I mean, that's a couple of things that I wrote down. I mean, this is a 1-year deal. We can, 8 months from now, when we review it, we can say, listen, we're not going, when the thing's over, we're out of it. Or, hey, we need to change it this way, or we need to change it that way. We get the opportunity to make a lot of those decisions, at that point in time, later on down the road. And I think there's actually gonna need to be some changes, when it comes down to it. I think it needs to be, if we continue the path that is with the cities and on Sunrail, maybe you limit, pull back on the amount you're paying for just the non-Sunrail side of it, but you're still pushing Sunrail. I mean, that's a big part of it to me. You're still pushing that side. And maybe you do something that hopefully isn't so restricted to within the city. You actually have a true interlocal agreement where you're doing cost share to bring ridership into us and outside, to go somewhere else. I mean, one of the big issues I just talked about was our parking structure, our parking situation. If we can push, even 10% of the people that come in to go to the Willow Tree, Breezeway, or go to any of our nightlife, if we can push them into a rideshare program, that's less parking that we have to deal with at that point in time. So I look at that side of it too for the non-Sunbelt side of it.
And you know what else just briefly, because you're gonna say this doesn't relate to this, but it does. Trust me, it does. We've all said for years, we've heard it, we've all said it, in 5 years we're gonna be, Sunrail is gonna be costing us money. And we keep saying that, we keep hearing it. Norton, can we start sort of finding out, and 5 years is not that long of amount of time, can we start talking about what we mean when we say it's gonna cost us money? Exactly what we're gonna be paying for? Even come up with just some rough ideas. Is it gonna be $100,000 a year or $1 million a year, or what we need to, start thinking about now?
Mr. Mayor, please, my understanding, I'll share with the mayor, but the thing the mayor's closer, is that it will go to the counties, the counties that are involved. The question is, how will the counties determine how the municipals will participate? And that has not yet been determined to my knowledge.
It's a pretty true statement.
And then the municipalities can decide whether to accept the county's proposal or not, correct? Because it's in the county, or will be obligated to.
I think the agreement is pretty much we're obligated in one form or fashion to.
And that's the question I asked in the very beginning, and the reason I voted no on a lot of this Sunrise was simply because the state refused to answer the question.
I would just love to start being able to get a feel for what, it's just really scary to know that in 5 years, we're gonna be hit pretty hard, but we don't know with what.
Well, a couple of calculations. One, we know it's running in a deficit now. How will that deficit be determined and portioned among the different counties? And then how will the counties decide how the municipalities' participation will be?
And you want to be hopeful about it. I think that if there's still such a strong deficit, like right now, that's running 1,000 a day under where they wanted it to be.
In terms of ridership,
1,000 ridership a day. It's supposed to be at 4,600. Right now, it's at 3,600 a day. So that's one thing that has to creep up and get more specific and more ridership. But I would hate to think that this is not true optimism, but I would hate to think that the state would just say, sorry, we made our deal and we're out. If it's still running at a $30 million deficit, there's no way that we can, the 3 counties can support that. Hopefully with the line that goes to the airport will help out. There's some other things that, going into Volusia County, those things will, when they come online, will help out. But I really would hate to think, and we will lobby hard for the fact that there is a deficit. How are we going to take that on as the low man on the totem pole, so to speak, when you're talking about states and counties?
And by the way, when the mayor talks about the $30 million deficit, that's not the cost to us. The $30 million deficit is after the revenue, so it could be costly.
Yes. Okay. Any other questions on the Uber part at this time?
One thing I'll add is that Mr. Corbett has reviewed it, Mr. Folsom, our risk manager's reviewed it, and I never want to speak for an elected official, nor will I speak for a city attorney, except to say I think it'd be fair to summarize comments in saying it's agreement that were we to craft it, we'd look different. However, it is doable.
Right.
It is legally sufficient, I think is the term.
And just understand that it's a pilot program. I mean, we can see where it goes and what happens. This truly is a future project. This isn't today effective. This is, if we decide to continue on, this is 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, 15, because this is like the mayor's youth council. They all sit there, they do everything on their phones. I mean, everything. My son, who's 15, I don't even know how he reads that much information via his phone. I'd have to have double bifocals. But that's the future generation that they come up, and they're not interested in the car ownership, or it's a more urban lifestyle of transportation network with the trails, bicycling, the Uber side of it, and getting to where you need to go on that, when it's actually cheaper to do that than it would be to actually buy a vehicle and drive it around.
Yeah, I don't doubt that.
Where do the funds come from?
We would take them from our fund balance reserve, but however, we are in the process of looking at soliciting from a lot of the businesses like Altamont did.
Is there a cap on how much we would have to pay?
Per ride there is.
The total?
No.
And we can't terminate except for calls?
You're talking about terminating during the pilot
Yeah.
study?
What would be other than the cost? In your mind?
It's like it's costing too much, we get too many complaints. I don't know. Because Uber can terminate without calls.
The general terms, section 2, toward the back of the contract. Term and termination, the agreement commences on the effective date, continues to the end of the pilot project, which we understand is a year. Uber can terminate on 30 days' notice. City can terminate the agreement in its entirety upon Uber's breach and a right to cure after 30 days. Other than a cause, the city can't terminate. The cities, all 5, can't terminate during the pilot.
So we can, if they breach any part of this, we give them the letter saying you're in breach of the contract.
And they've got 30 days to
30
cure
days
it,
to
and if
cure
they
it.
don't, you can cancel.
And on your other question, Art, is the city can request a map displaying rounded latitude, longitude points representing individual pickup and drop-off locations for completed trips twice.
for a single specific day, or that we can get 2 days worth of data. Which I guess leads me to how, other than just them saying the trips were in the city and we pay 20%, we don't have any data to support that, right?
The question I had was the verification, and I did raise that. I discussed that in terms of with the city manager out of Mount Springs. How are they looking to do that? It gets down to, and the word that perhaps is not the best word in government, but it's a matter of trust. This is something that Uber is putting forth, the city is putting forth to do with Uber, and I think that but it's a good question to raise with the Uber representative. What I did share with him is I can imagine that with this getting the kind of publicity it has, which is throughout the world, any headline saying city feels Uber is cheating them would not be in Uber's best interest. So it is a concern, and when I looked at this, a concern that I have in my note is validation. How do we validate the bill that we get? If we get a bill, we should be able to validate it. This agreement doesn't look at that the traditional way. So to some extent, it would be a matter of trust.
Well, what data did they give us to come up with? Was it 32,000 or 34,000, whatever the dollar amount was that we would have
Frank
paid?
had gotten that for the material that they provided him when he asked for the breakdown within the Seminole County cities.
Number of rides within. Has any of these, have you had a conversation with Frank or anybody else about about a cap, monetary cap?
No. It was, I think our exposure is a little greater than some of the others, particularly with the airport. What the cap is on the actual rides. So there's a percentage in terms of how much, the most we would pay per ride, but there is not the cap listed in terms of what we would pay out.
There's also a cap on the amount per ride of $25.
Right. Yes, that's true. So
If
there's a
somebody
cap
had up
on
a $100 bill,
Yeah.
it's only the $25.
And you got to
change.
drive a long ways to get a $25 bill.
Understood. But there is a cap.
We'd be driving circles and say.
Yeah, just for,
And
just
on
for
the
fun.
20%, the 20% side of it, the trip has to, the total trip has to stay within the city, or the trip just has to either begin or end in the city. That's where I was concerned. In other words, if you came from Altamont Springs to have dinner in Sanford, and it ended there, right, and then you Ubered back home, that's not an eligible.
Starting and ending.
It's got to start in the same trip, I guess is what I was saying,
Right.
versus a round trip.
Within the city limits, so you can't say, okay, I want to go to International Drive and eat, so Uber guys park
Got it.
right here and wait on me, and then ride back.
Got it. The way I had first understood it, I thought it was an origination or a destination. Okay.
It's within right now. And I think that's the discussion we would have, 8, 9, 10 months from now, whether we're going to continue it on, and two, how do we do something like that as a group with Seminole County involved, not just the cities.
Got it.
Okay? Any other questions right now? No?
Okay. Next item on the agenda is Fort Mellon Park Amphitheater. We had discussion, and the staff went out and marked it, and we made available to commissioners if they wanted to see. So at this time, Robert, updates? I guess. Oh, there you go.
After you.
Good afternoon.
Well, like Mr. Bonaparte said, we marked the site off, so hopefully everybody's had a chance to look at that. And we've received some additional comments in regard to the the amphitheater, we're reviewing them and getting with the contractor on them. They're in the process of starting the design and getting that going. And then I believe 30%?
About 30% will bring back.
We'll bring back to commission for review to discuss further and kind of try to keep it moving as much as we can.
I think Mr. Bell's comment about keep it moving as fast as we can is pertinent, because I know this commission likes dollars, and if we don't do it in a timely manner, then we lose a lot of dollars.
Enough to where we won't do the project.
Considerable amount, yes.
Yeah. Had comments on the markings. Did you guys hear anything else from anybody about the markings? I mean, I heard good comments.
Yeah, I haven't heard much, not really any negative that I've heard. So I think everything's been pretty positive.
I've had some comments, some misunderstandings in terms of like the weather and the speakers and things of that nature.
I've got some ongoing comments from the Shoemaker family who own the apartment complex across the street. They're not happy because they feel like it's going to be just tremendous noise for that's an age restricted community, over 55 or it's over 60, and they feel like it's going to, really hurt the quality of life of the residents in those apartments. And I tried to explain to her that was part of the reason that the ceiling was shaped the way it was, and the berms and the speaker direction, etc. They feel like that they're still going to get quite a bit of noise from it.
I mean, as far as the noise goes, it shouldn't be much different from what they do now,
Right.
with the stage that they put out there. So
Actually, it'd probably be better because you still get a lot of reflection from that angle.
yeah, it's more directional out towards the water now, so it may even be better. I'm not sure. With the landscaping and stuff that they're putting in there as well.
Well, you know how it is.
Not constantly.
Every week they go out for
Our
it.
concerts
It already is out for
every day.
Yeah, pretty much.
Can we get permanent speakers so we can blare music every day, all day long?
Until what, 10 o'clock at night?
Yeah. Check in.
That
See
was,
Don?
that was one of the CRA requests, was to put speakers in the park and have them work.
I tried to figure out how to amplify my source of solve when I'm not working at night.
Forwarding Wi-Fi. All right, any questions for Robert or staff regarding that? And that's kind of, we're gonna try to get started right after 4th of July, is that right?
Probably right towards the end, we're bidding out, and then by the summer, we'll be definitely under construction. Like I said, we've got a real tight timeline with getting the design done and get the bidding in.
Right.
We're also sensitive to special events in the park, and we've had meetings to work with those events. Some of them will be moved, and Mike, some of them will be moved to the Civic Center. Some of the races we'll reconfigure. Some of them we're still working on, but we want to be sensitive to special events in the park because during the construction phase.
I mean, that park is so big. It's going to be that disruptive that some of those can't just be moved down to the other end, or?
Well, I'll let Mr. Kirby.
We had about 25 conflicts that people have already booked during the construction time. And we found homes for just about everybody, some down to the far end near San Juan. Some people moving out toward 18th Street across from Sanford Middle School. And some of the road races that used to set up tents and stuff, now they're going to be on the other side of the Seminole Boulevard on the lake. We just need to let them know it's going to be different than what they had registered for. And so far, knock on wood, everybody's been understanding.
Good.
Okay, any other questions, Robert? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, next item is an item that we wanted to bring to your attention. We received a request from Seminole County staff, and I want to emphasize not from the commission, but from staff, in terms of looking to, and the term that they use is request some reduction in the stormwater fee. Stormwater fee for the new sports complex is estimated to be $6,500 a month. Staff does not have the ability to waive or reduce fees, and so we wanted to have the commission discuss if there's anything that you would like to do and how we could
How
report
much
back.
it is in it they're gonna get per year? I read in the paper. They anticipate getting how much every year?
Economic development side or the actual income side?
The actual income side.
I heard a 6 and a 5, I thought. Was it 16
How many zeros?
million? 65 million?
Holy guacamole.
I don't know what was on TV about how much they anticipate
didn't
making
see-
out there.
I didn't see the news.
You heard about it, right? You estimate? How much? 22. I was off 20,000.
Annually.
Was that
Profit?
actual income or was that?
I think that's economic development.
I think so.
Total economic development for the site.
But if they get a reduction, I'd like a reduction on mine too.
Me too.
Because none of my water actually goes to where the city processes it. Mine all stays on the property.
Did they give a number or did they just say, hey, we'd like
No,
this?
they,
No, they have not given a number, they just say that it's too much, we would like to see a reduction. And they were asking me all the questions and all that, and I didn't give them any answers yet, because I said I'll run it by the city manager, I'll run it by the commission, but they are saying $6,500 is too much.
So when would, if that's an estimate, when would we actually have an actual? Do we have actual?
We have that would be the actual number, 65.
That's the actual
That's the
number?
actual number.
Man, that's a
And
cost.
that's the actual number based on the impervious area that they have, because all of these are artificial fields.
Yeah.
This whole section is artificial. This is actual ground. All of this is impervious and the parking lot. That's about 37 acres. 37 acres equals to $6,500 a month. That's it. That's the numbers that they supplied to St. John's Water Management District. So that's their numbers. We did not do the calculations.
What do you think?
What do I think?
We're budget. We're budget.
I usually don't think about these things. It is what it is.
Call Frank over at Alpha One, send him
But-
to pay for Middle Park.
Well, I'm sending Frank right now about the contracts.
yeah, I think to Mr.
I
If it
think there's
cuts.
gonna be a big line of people outside that door if
Yeah.
we reduce this.
And that's up to the commission. I mean, I can think real hard if the commission wants me to.
Hold on. Don't-
Bill Al,
Yes.
what, I'm just trying to think of a large stormwater user. What does Sadie pay monthly?
Theirs is quite a bit too, because I've had discussions with them too. I don't remember exactly, but I'm thinking somewhere close to a couple of $1,000s.
Right, so if we're gonna reduce theirs, we need to reduce Sadie's and all the other big water users. I just,
Well, I think if you even thought about it, and I think this complex is gonna be great for the future development and our tax base out there. The only reason you'd ever think about it is because it's actually another governmental entity.
yeah,
That would be the only reason why I would even consider paying their bill for them.
are we asking them for anything right now?
Yes.
We do have one governmental entity that,
Bingo. They don't fall under this though, would they?
School board? Oh.
Yeah, they just don't pay.
We're still billing them. We're still billing them, right?
Yes.
Okay.
yes,
Yeah, I'm waiting for that to be overturned. They're gonna owe us a big bill. Okay. I
so at
think-
this point, what I'm hearing is that staff can let the county staff know that it's been discussed with the commission, and the commission did not give us any guidance moving forward. And should the county wish to pursue it otherwise, they have those options.
I think that's a great answer.
So there's 15 ball fields out there total?
Yep. Yeah, we actually played on the one Saturday up there, the field that is AstroTurf or artificial turf.
Yeah.
And it was 90 degrees outside, and it was 114 on that field. And I thought my feet were gonna melt, and my poor kids.
Really?
thought they were
So
gonna pass out.
ooh.
It's gonna be interesting to watch what happens over the course of the summer with these
Oh,
games.
dear. When you say outside, I didn't get to the grand opening. Are some of those covered?
No, I meant the AstroTurf
Versus the
versus
grass,
versus
yeah.
AstroTurf.
That turf is horrible.
It is shoe melting hot.
Yes.
I'm just curious as to why you would have, just not being a ball player, why would you have some fields AstroTurf and some fields not? And I've heard that the football players hate it too.
Yeah, I think it's just to have the mixture, you know, say that you have them, and the overall maintenance cost in the long run, it's probably a 10-year field, and you don't have to really do anything except put more, you know, cancer-causing chips on it.
Yeah.
Rubber chips.
And it's almost as bad as playing. It's
Just
almost,
just joking. Well, what do you think they spray on? The antifungal spray? I don't know.
114 degrees.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
It was probably more than that. I thought poor Chase was going to drop.
That's scary because we're not even in the worst part of summer.
No,
How much
exactly.
did y'all have to pay?
We paid a lot.
6,500?
So I was just wondering if y'all decide, I know I won't support it, but if y'all decided to give them a decrease, do you think they would permit all the Sanford
No.
sports for, let them in at a discount?
Well, yeah, we played under a tournament for someone else there was 30 teams. So that's probably $10,000 for a day out there for all the teams. Probably pretty close. $300 per team.
Plus, we've still got to promote our own field, right? Fields.
Well, there is,
Yeah.
I had a conversation with the county manager, and what she is looking to do is to have a meeting with the various cities so that there's coordination, so that when they're marketing their field, they also can market the fields of the municipalities. So it's not competition, but cooperation.
Yeah, we've had several of those conversations. I asked Mr. Bonaparte to reach out and have that conversation. And in full transparency, we played Saturday at Seminole Ball Fields, but we played Sunday at Chase. So it was a dual program, which was good.
Same kit both days?
Yeah,
Wow.
5 games.
It's a way to keep them tired.
Sunburn.
That's what you do. You do that all day, and then when you go home, the kid leaves you alone because they're tired.
Not really.
No.
They're just getting started.
Because after the game, it's going to continue Bobby and whoever else will over and
Yeah.
play, and,
Yeah.
yeah.
Where are you taking me?
Where do you get that energy at that age?
Okay.
Right.
So that's direction in that.
Okay. Next item is, we have 2 agenda items that are for your action tonight. The first one is the Schedule G, and so with that, we'll turn it to planning.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Commission. I'm going to have Eileen Henson and Jordan Smith join me. First, if I may take the opportunity to thank the City Commission for your patience working with staff, and I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank our Planning and Zoning Commission, who, as you can tell from the exhibit behind me, commenced the consideration and direction to city staff back in 2014 to start working on design standards, architectural design standards. And I will also take this opportunity to thank my colleagues to my left, Eileen Henson and Jordan Smith, who have been most instrumental in getting us further advanced to this point. What you are considering this evening is the second reading and adoption of Ordinance 4364, based on what was originally presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission in January of this year, and the Commission approving on first reading on January 25th. Since January 25th, when it was scheduled for second reading and adoption on February 8th, it was recognized that there was perhaps some need to engage our development community as it relates to how these design standards would impact our community. I've had the pleasure of meeting with several of our development community representatives. I can share those with the commission if you like.
Please.
the one that I have spent the most time and applaud the amount of time and attention he has given to these standards is Bobby Von Herbelis of McKee Construction. I've also had communications with Kevin Spolsky Construction, as well as Dean Shoemaker of Shoemaker Construction. So one of the primary concerns that I think was a common denominator of those three local contractors and design professionals was how these standards might apply to industrial development. And I'm going to turn it over to Eileen or Jordan to give you an overview of what changes have been made to the items relevant to this ordinance since the first reading was approved by the Commission on January 25th. But what I'll preface this by saying is that there were no changes to Article 3 nor Article Schedule F. So what will be outlined are those changes that have been made to the proposed Schedule G. And Jordan, if you'd like to give an overview of the schedules, changes to Schedule G.
Sure. Good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. The schedule before you tonight is a new schedule, the architecture design standards for and modifications to Article 3 and Schedule F. The version before you today is a more focused version. The purpose and intent of the schedule has not changed. No new content was added. The content was amended to generate a clearer, more concise set of regulations. We removed ambiguity and overall clarity was added. The prior version, as Mr. Gibson explained, applied to all commercial and office type uses, including office portions of industrial development. The applicability was clarified in specific land use categories, which are identified in Schedule B, will apply as modified in the schedule. We also simplified the building orientation and out parcel requirements. For instance, if you go a couple of slides, Chris. Buildings shall front on streets. There should be regulations for buildings at primary intersections. And it should also support and encourage pedestrian activity. Section 3, office and commercial standards were modified. It contains the same content. It was just rearranged for user-friendly workflow through regulations. A lot of the descriptive elements have been removed. We better define items such as roofing, canopy, and awning elements. The requirements for parking structure were removed, as we don't see too many parking structures being built right now. And if there is a parking structure, it's not retail or commercial, but if it's built in conjunction with the TOD project, it can apply and make consistent with the overall project. Captions were provided for figures, and then we just made other minor modifications to further organize and simplify the schedule. Any questions?
I think that was, if I may, a quick follow-up comment from the communications I had with the development community, as well as what staff recognized as well, is the challenge of implementing these standards, and what has really went into great amount of time and effort is to make these easier to understand and easier to implement for the development community. I will share with you the version of Schedule G that was approved on first reading was in the neighborhood of 56 pages. The version that you will be considering tonight is almost 20 pages less. Again, as Jordan indicated, nothing new has been added, but we did reduce it substantially to make it easier. There was a lot of overlapping sections, a lot of photographs that had intent to try to give suggestions. So again, we reduced it to be truly what is the intended regulations for the city's design standards. Again, we entertain any questions that you or the public may have, whether it's here or at the public hearing this evening.
Can you just kind of Reader's Digest version the conversation with Von Herbulis and Spolsky, who do, I mean, the major concern was the industrial side of it?
That was a significant issue. It wasn't the only one for Mr. Von Herbulis, and I by no means wish to try to speak on his behalf. I have and certainly advised him of this being considered for tonight, both at the work session and the public hearing. I do not know whether or not he'll be here, but Mayor, his concern too was how easy to understand and apply these standards. I think in a large part what we've accomplished here, or presenting to you, accomplishes that objective. Now, I believe Mr. Von Herbulis also was concerned with regards to having a set of standards that would be effectively one size fits all, meaning that this applies citywide, and we have different areas of our city that have different characters. So there was some discussion with him about having this approach be different than what was considered on first reading, and that would be applying standards different for different types of street types. And this is akin to a discussion I've even had with Mr. Torrey in terms of how design standards apply to even the Catalyst site in our downtowns. There's different design standards for different street types. So Mr. Von Herbulis had that concept in mind relative to having design standards that would be different for an arterial road like 1792 versus a major collector road or a local street. So that was one very substantive change in terms of the approach or application that would warrant going back to perhaps the beginning. That would not be an approach that we could submit to the commission tonight for second reading. So again, if that's the scope or direction the commission would like to consider, then we'll obviously heed the direction of you. But I believe that this still applies to some degree of contextual relevance to those different types of areas of our city based on the kind of the menu selection that the Schedule G accords. So you can apply the appropriate types of design standards that might be more suitable for the areas of the different areas of the city, different street types of the city. So I think that was the principal changes that Mr. Von Herbulis focused on.
And so he has a feeling of that he's okay with.
Again, I don't want to make any conclusions on
For God's sakes, Russ, come on, man.
I think.
Is he happy? Is he mad? Is he going to come in and scream at us? Is he?
I don't anticipate that Mr. Von Herbulis will be coming in and screaming.
You answered the questions that he had and made some changes that he wanted to see, or that Spolsky wanted to see, some of our major development partners.
I think to a large degree, this absolutely accomplishes that on all their behalves.
Okay. Good answer. Okay, any questions for Russ or his team? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. How would this affect buildings such as the corner of Mellonville and Celery?
It would apply. if you're referring to the existing development there. it
But
would
had
not.
this have been in effect,
Yes,
Would have applied, yes.
yeah.
so we wouldn't have got what we got.
That's
Right.
a-
And a good example, the Dollar General that's now on First Street, we had them apply these standards as they were not enforced at the time. But we had them apply some of our architectural standards, and that's why we have a different Dollar General down there than we do on the other side of town. Just because of guidelines like this.
The reason I wasn't sure if you were referring to the Family Dollar store versus maybe the land that the city may be interested in a catty corner from it. But yes, Jordan answered it very well. Is that how? And I must say, one of our planning and zoning commissioners today noticed or understood that this was before the city commission this evening, and made comment that while, again, frustrated with the land uses that have been established on First Street, the auto parts and retail store, he appreciated how staff worked with those parties to, as Jordan indicated, apply these types of design standards, so at least the buildings look better than which they would have otherwise.
Right.
But is there action we can take that will prevent us from having auto parts and dollar stores on First Street coming right into our city? Or is that just something that,
It would require some substantial land use policy changes by the city that would potentially be of concern to those property owners relative to their current land use entitlements. So,
Because it's general commercial.
yeah, it's just unfortunate to have it right as you enter the city.
The land's got a napa right in the middle of
Why?
downtown too.
Because people will just assume that what? They come in at a dollar store or Dollar
Yeah,
Tree.
it
Sends what kind of message about Sanford?
and auto parts stores are just all over town, and you know they usually wind up kind of ill kept, and just wish that we could have a higher use there than auto parts.
Well, the one on First Street is, so far, is much better than the one by my house.
By
Maybe
your
I drive
house.
by that one more. Not by my house, but the one on Celery and Mellonville. I drive by it. every day.
There's an auto parts store in Celery.
No, there's a
Mellonville?
Dollar,
Dollar.
Family Dollar.
Oh, I'm talking about auto parts.
Yeah. Oh.
I think about what's the one out there on 1792.
The what?
Which one?
Auto parts.
Are we back to autos or?
O'Reilly's.
Oh right, yeah. It just looks trashy every time you go out there. There's people out there working on their car in the parking lot, and just what are you grinning about, Jordan?
I'm just answering the question.
Okay. Any other questions for staff?
Okay, it is on the agenda for your action this evening.
Great, thanks. And thanks for all your hard work on this. I know that, we kind of sent you back with a tough situation to be in, and we hate doing that, but I tried to get that development side, making sure that we weren't doing something that was going to hamper us more, in the future. It's better to work it out now.
And again, thank you. We intend to engage our development and business community more proactively in the future when we're advancing major legislation.
It's very politically correct of you, Russ. That's awesome.
I think this is much easier to follow.
Yeah.
So I appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Good.
And in that we were talking about that area of town. What's going on with the assisted living facility that was going to open where the old house was there by the bridge? Is that still underway?
No, if I may, Mayor, Commissioner Manny, I believe, is referring to the proposed ALF or assisted living facility on East First Street before you get to Riverview.
Right.
That was a tax credit application. I've recently spoken with the the applicant. They did not evidently score enough points to be awarded a tax credit and are not advancing that project at this
Oh
time.
dear, okay.
Good. Thank you, Russ. Mr. Bumper?
Yes, the next item is an assignment and assumption memorandum of understanding with Tory regarding returning it to Sanford Waterfront Partners. This is a proposal that has been sent for the mayor's signature, and Mr. Colbert has opined that it is first needing the city commission to authorize the mayor to sign it. We have with us this evening both Mr. Tory and Mr. Hill. Bottom? Eisenbottom. And so they can explain exactly what this assumption and assignment is.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Nice to see you
Great to
again.
be back, as always.
This is really just simple. It was contemplated in the MOU. It removes the responsibilities under the MOU from the construction company and development company umbrella to a special purpose entity set up just for Sanford. It is called Sanford Waterfront Partners LLC. The only two managing members are sitting in front of you. And I don't know that there's anything else. And by the way, we're moving on pretty fast with everything else. We want you to know that. We're very excited about where we are. The manager and the mayor will get a little, and one of our other commissioners will get a little sneak peek preview. Then we're going to sit down with staff tomorrow, kind of go over it with the master plan with staff, just to.
Why the manager, the mayor, and one other commissioner? Why not
We
all
only
the
have so many times
commissioners?
in a day, so many hours in a day. You're all going to see this
On June 13th.
on June 13th. But we thought that we needed to sit with staff. We weren't going to sit with staff to sit with the manager, and then we said, well, we're going to sit in there, and then we ought to sit with the district commissioner, and so we kind of gave them a little priority, no insult intended.
You made an announcement, right?
Yeah, I don't
Because
like
these are
that.
two people, right? So there's a public announcement saying they're gonna have a meeting?
No, we're not.
No,
we're not at the same
no, we're just.
Norton,
Just having a conversation, that's all.
I don't think that, I support what she's saying. I don't think it should be any one particular
I don't
commissioner.
either.
Because I'm looking at him as a commissioner and he is.
Because we're going to get asked the same questions, and if he gets the sneak peek and he has the answers, we don't know he has the answers, and then she and I are going to, the community's going to.
If you would prefer that we only meet with staff right now as a whole, then we will do whatever you prefer. We were just being courteous. If we had the time, we'd meet with everybody. We try to set up as many meetings here as we can when we get here.
I don't want to inhibit Commissioner Woodruff. We just know how things go. And
Listen, if you want to take my position at lunch tomorrow, be my guest.
Well, you need one. You're the mayor.
So be my guest, because I can go straight back to banking and make some money.
But you need to be there.
We
But
couldn't
I'm saying
do
all
it. We
of
couldn't
us-
do this as an open.
Part of the reason
They are.
you will have the open hearing, and it was contemplated in the MOU as well on June 13th, and that is a work in progress presentation. It's not final, it's work in progress. This is a draft of the work in progress presentation that they're seeing. So it's early stuff, but my point to all
I like to see the
this,
draft before you present it. You said
we'll
we'll all see it
if you
after the draft.
No, the proposal is for them to make a presentation to the entire commission on June 13th.
So what's the advantage, what I'm trying to understand, if that's the case, what is the purpose of showing it to the mayor and the district commissioner?
So that I can buy them lunch.
And I'm getting breakfast.
We
Just
might
wrapping
want,
up
we
now.
might want to give a supper.
you should.
Yeah, we might want to give him supper. That's right.
But I didn't realize that. I thought they had sent it out to everybody.
There was no rhyme or reason, really. This is about an 85% draft.
Do you get the flow? And it really should be a debate
No, I
at
understand.
this point. We've expressed our concerns, so it shouldn't be a debate. City manager.
I'll be here on the 13th.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a debate.
What we can do is after this meeting, we can see, for what I'm hearing from Commissioner Jones is he's comfortable with the 13th. And we can see, because they have limited amount of time, and I can maybe give up some of my time tomorrow.
We could also
If-
do the,
if-
let me suggest this. We'll leave you a copy. It needs not go outside of this office. The reason we're bringing it is because this is still not open for open viewing. We're going to show a copy and take a copy. In the interest of this discussion, I will
But
give a copy.
I think what I'm hearing from Commissioner Mahaney, Commissioner Williams, they like to have the opportunity to talk with you.
I think we should schedule a separate meeting where we do exactly that. Is that okay with the other
So
three of you?
we can get, after this meeting, if you can stick around for a couple minutes, and we can see about some time when both Commissioner Mahaney, both Commissioner Williams can meet with you individually.
Is that?
Will you do it on 13?
Right, because if it's not going, my position is this, if it's not going to be, if it's going to be publicly introduced in a public forum here in a meeting, then that's when people would, then nobody's going to formulate any questions prior to that. So I'm fine with bringing up the phone.
The reason for this was basically to just show you how far we've gotten through the process.
You think
It's
you're gonna
just,
like it?
it's just to show you how deep this has gone already, and it's just an issue of confidence from you guys. Really, that's all it was. But like I said, if it's 10 minutes or 15 minutes, which is all that's going to happen, you're welcome to do that tomorrow if you can find the time. I mean,
Yeah, we can work on the time.
We'd definitely be able to want to do that.
Okay,
So we can get
relevant.
together at the break and see what is available for both Commissioner Mahaney and Commissioner Williams while you're in town.
Absolutely.
And you're just here tomorrow?
Listen, we'll gladly come back in a week or so.
No,
if-
I don't, I'm
you
not
know.
trying to, I'm not trying to put you out or make you uncomfortable at all, and I know what a long drive it is for you. And I'm glad we had the conversation and the explanation. I think that we just got off to a bad, start when it was the mayor, the city manager, and one commissioner, and that. But if it's not going to be public, and nothing's gonna, and we're not gonna be getting 1,000 questions, that we can't answer. Of course, we could always tell them to call Commissioner Woodruff and give him his own number. Then I suppose.
Now, what I'm hearing is nothing's gonna be shared that is of public interest right now because it's a percentage of where we're kind of direction we're going, and hey, this is what we're gonna kind of present on the 13th.
It was mostly just to highlight that we've gone this far. Staff is going to look at it. Primarily, the discussion with staff is to discuss some of the issues related to zoning specifically and historic preservation. What we're doing is in line with the city codes and so forth. So it's mostly a question and answer on that level that we're here for. That's really the reason we're here tomorrow, just to make sure that we correct anything of that sort. If there's any deviations, we want to make sure that we're at least understanding the big code and so forth. That's really the reason we're here tomorrow, just to understand parking ratios and things like that, and requirements as to heights and things like that. That's really the basis for this discussion. The other one was just to show you guys just a little bit of a peek for the sake of confidence in our team. But it doesn't have any, there's no questions and answers. This is not a discussion of where it is. It's just a preview.
And it's certainly not public at this time. The public presentation that'll be more coalesced will be on the 13th.
I'm gonna ask you a very simple and open question right now. Are you gonna build the Ferris wheel or not?
It's that replica of the Eiffel Tower that I thought was so dynamic.
Right, I'm sorry, I forgot about that.
But Ferris
You
was
gotta have
on
elevators for the
the
observation
French.
deck.
Yeah, the Grand Eye or what they call it.
Okay. And look, we will gladly just sit with anyone else and take input as well. That's just additional input before we go public with it. Okay.
And they've been very good about taking every phone call that I've given you guys, so I really appreciate it.
We're really more, I think, concerned that when we go public, it's public, and it's going to be public. And we're trying to make sure that we've taken the last 2 or 3 weeks to discuss procedure, how we're going to get there. It's just this is the beginning of where it pops. It pops.
And so essentially, and I'm not being adversarial because I'm saying I acquiesce to the 13th. However, I just want you to understand that we keep hearing the term "go public." So we've got 1, 2, 3 that are going to hear it now, and then 2, 3 that won't hear it until we go public. And so,
Or you can schedule a meeting with me any other day you like, and we will come right back here to show you before we get public as well. That's, we're offering to show
I'm very
you.
sensitive you having to drive back up here.
It could be.
You know, drive back up
But
here.
we're big boys, we fly and drive
Wherever
all over the
we had
place.
been, we made aware of prior to that time. You know, I feel uncomfortable because it probably is going to appear that we're being difficult or what have you.
Right, right.
You know.
Well, I hear what the commissioners are saying, and during the break, we can see if there's a time while they're here, which is tomorrow, if we can see about, even if it's like you said, 15, 20 minutes.
That's okay.
It just, yeah, that's really all it takes to give you a good idea of where we're at right now. That's what we wanted to do.
And in communications, everything, and you know, there's always already a little tiny bit of sensitivity. When you all had the charrette, I don't know how the other commissioners feel. I just know how I do things and why I do things the way I do. And when I was elected, I went and took 2 separate courses from the League of Cities on, municipal government, and a conversation of, commissioners attending charrettes came up, and some commissioners just feel like their presence at charrettes can really inhibit the public. The public is really into it, and in walks a commissioner, and sometimes you can feel the tone of the room change. So I chose not to attend the charrette for that reason, because we'd had the privilege to meet with you all. And yet, the next thing I know, the next day I'm getting phone calls. Oh, everybody in that was there is all upset with the commissioners that didn't go. You all aren't interested. No, it's not that we're not interested. It's that that's not necessarily the time for an elected official to go in and get up in the middle of things. And so I have a little sensitivity just about that. I've already been criticized for not going to the charrette. I don't know if the other commissioners went. If they didn't, if they got the same criticism. Actually, I kind of do know, because I heard. But so then now it's just a little bit sensitive subject.
Understood. So the 13th, just so we can briefly talk about it, the 13th presentation should give us a couple hours presentation. I mean, if you really want to walk through the process of what's there, it's a commission meeting, I believe that's the day. So
We can clear the work session out pretty easily. We may have a couple other items, but
Well, the question is also if you want it at 4, if you want it at 7.
say again?
Do you want it at the work session, or do you want it public at 7?
Public, I would think.
This has got to go public. I mean, I just think it's all of our responsibilities to, or may prohibit some folks from attending because they have to work, so.
Then you need to limit that agenda. Yeah.
So we could look at having it at 7 o'clock with a limited otherwise items. Yeah.
7 from the public.
In other words, having it at the regular meeting during presentations.
But what about the work session?
We could have a regular work session.
Can we have a work session and present then?
Well,
The idea was to do it at the 7 o'clock meeting, which is more of a, I mean, the public's welcome here to sit in the work session, but the 7 o'clock meeting is kind of the advertised public. That's like the big public meeting.
You have to have that.
So that's the
can't
thing.
guarantee it, but we're thinking Victor Dover will present for the master planner. And obviously, we're going to give you step-by-step of the process and the results of the feedback we've received and why we got to this level.
But don't you think it's to your advantage to meet with commissioners to discuss the draft before we go public?
And we
Because
are.
I would prefer I probably
We are
be
doing that.
much more I probably ask more questions during the informal session.
It is our,
And I don't think you want me to ask those at the public at the public
You
meeting.
name the day,
You see what I'm
and
trying to
Vinny
say?
and I will be back here and meet with you privately so you can ask us any of those questions. We'll walk you through the whole thing,
but the answer
and the
is
charrette process, and what we got out of it
we will
as
meet with
well.
all of you guys before, on the one by one, as to much time as you need to walk through the process. I mean, I think that's part of what we want to do anyway. We don't want you to see this for the first time on the 13th.
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
maybe good idea, maybe terrible idea. when Mr. Torrey talks about needing a good couple of hours to present this public, and he really wants it to be public that night, do we want to have a special? Do we want to do it on the 13th at the commission meeting? Or do we want to have a special call meeting just for this?
I mean, I think everything that we've said has been the 13th thus far, so I think that we just call it a commission meeting with special presentation of
Okay.
the catalyst site, and try to take everything else, unless it's just a mandatory need of
And
I
then
mean,
also-
we have one meeting a month through several months, so we can push things to the end of.
And anything that's necessary can either be on the consent or,
Correct.
and we have the work session,
Okay.
so we can work through any questions for the work session.
Well, and I would flip around what you're saying. If it turns out we need a special meeting for something, we do it for whatever the other business is.
Okay.
We can do it real quick.
Yeah, I guess that would, yeah, and that's great too. I
Makes sense.
just, we can always break it up if we
And
have to.
shouldn't we be into budget sessions
We're coming up
at some point
in
later
July.
anyway?
Yeah.
In July.
But it is a work in progress. It's not for anything more than,
Yeah, the finals, the
Feedback.
schedule calls for the final in August.
yeah, this is a feedback. We really want to feedback from all you guys, and we will get that beforehand, but then we'll get it in public. And it's because I think at that point, you know, it's done publicly the way it's supposed to. So,
Good. Okay.
Okay, one other comment is that there were some questions about the assignment and assumption from one company to another company. Mr. Colbert has looked at it, and the original agreement allows for this, so this is consistent with the original agreement.
And my only question was to confirm that the same people are all doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You're looking at the
It's
same
just a
people.
different legal entity.
We
Is that
just-
my, is that
yeah, we
right?
had to,
Okay.
I mean, monies we're putting in one entity versus him paying a check and me paying a check.
Okay.
Basically, that's how
I
it
think
works.
one of the questions was, it's coming from Mr. Torres to, well, it's coming from Vinnie to Richard. And you didn't have the other.
That was my question.
But it's always been that way, and it was just that, and we talked about this, and you may not have been involved, but when we did the MOU legally, we discussed the formality of how this was going to take place. So this was not.
Your name wasn't included
The
under the
attorneys tell us
assignee.
this is the right way to do it, so we're doing what they tell us to do.
Mr. Colbert?
I was just going to say, and Mr. Bonaparte touched on it, the memorandum of understanding clearly contemplates this, exactly this. And it says that the city's consent will not be unreasonably withheld. It came to us to see about the mayor signing it, and our only comment was the commission needs to authorize the mayor to sign it. That's why it's on the consent agenda. It's a no-brainer, a no legal issue, a no problem thing. The commission just needs to approve it so the mayor can sign it. That's it.
Yes, ma'am.
On the night that, on the 13th, are there any specific key individuals maybe we should think about actually reaching out to and inviting to that meeting? Should someone from the county be invited? Should someone from the school board be invited? Other municipalities close
Historic
by?
Trust.
Historic Trust, P and Z?
We've reached out to that sort of, that same group, with almost everyone that you mentioned there for the charrette process, and we would plan on reaching out again.
Good. Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, gentlemen. Good.
Would you then give us the courtesy of allowing the three of you guys to see if we can meet? I mean, we prefer to do this while we're here, so if there's a way to do it, we would want to do it.
Can't do it on that day. Can't do it on that day, right?
I think Randy's okay to go to 13th, huh?
If it comes down to it, yes.
Well, you guys figured it.
It was,
We should be finished this meeting within another 10 minutes.
I mean, it's only a 30% mark, so. We could show it to you.
I can tell you. I know it.
Whoever, we got 2 hours, but it's up to you.
That's a possibility, because what we have left on the agenda shouldn't take more than another 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So they could have some time tonight, so.
I don't.
Well, I can hook up
Okay,
with
you
them
guys-
tonight and you can
You
slip
guys,
in
you
tomorrow.
guys figured
Well,
this whole
this
thing.
is-
I'll hook up with you
Let's go.
tonight before dinner for a few minutes, and then maybe Commissioner Williams
Tomorrow?
can have tomorrow.
And don't worry about me, I'll talk with him.
Joan says he'll talk later.
All right. Cool. Thank you, guys.
I apologize, for catching y'all off guard. It just,
You're fine. Other items.
Okay, we have received a letter from the Department of Transportation
oh dear.
just telling us about a project that's coming up and wanted to make sure that the commissioners had the information.
Thank you, Mr. Bonaparte. Good.
Also, I sent an email. We are looking to have a joint meeting with the school board on June the 14th from 1 to 3 at the school board offices. We had not heard from some commissioners and just want to make sure everybody could attend. It's the 14th of June from 1 to 3. We have had 3 confirmations, so we can go ahead, but we wanted to see if there were...
Well, I told you I cannot.
Oh, I thought it was dealing with...
I thought you said you could.
And then I said, oh no, let me check my wife.
That was the verbal.
And, sorry.
I thought this was pertaining to the property down there.
Mellonville and Celery is what I'm talking about right now.
School, they didn't have anything
Has
to
to
do
do
with
with this?
this.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, that's just your
Yeah.
information.
Oh, okay.
So we're looking at June 14th from 1 to 3. So would you be able to make that? So Commissioner Williams
I already RSVP'd
Yes.
to Nikki that I would be there.
and the mayor did as well. Commissioner Jones, do you know if you would?
Yes, I can do
Okay. Very good. I'll confirm with the school district. I would like to then see about setting up one-on-one meetings with each member of the commission. Periodically we do that. So I will be getting with each commissioner to let you see at a time that's convenient for you. I also like to say that on Friday, the Leadership Seminole had its graduation. We had 2 graduates, Captain Raimondo. Actually, Captain Raimondo was in the class last time, except he went to the FBI Academy and missed a class and wasn't able to graduate last year. Interesting enough, the class he missed was on law enforcement.
Oh, jeez.
But he did graduate
That's
this
the only one
time.
you needed.
You have to do every single class when
We have
you're
a certain number, yes. And then also Lieutenant Ray Irving also graduated. And I'm very pleased to announce that the city's participant in the upcoming Seminole Leadership class is Tracy from the clerk's office.
Oh, cool.
And my friend Ian, who owns Kiani's, is in it, and he's just
Oh.
so excited. Yes.
Oh, good.
And he's also moved into the Riverwalk.
What did you do?
Ian moved in up here to the Riverwalk Gateway.
Oh, personally.
Ian moved from Windermere to the Gateway. He lives in the Gateway now.
Well, that hour commute was
Yeah.
killing them.
And then 2 other quick items. One, I'd like to have Chief Smith give the City Commission an update on police take-home vehicles.
From Cameron, use your.
By the way, this is quick, so it's not a presentation, just to give the commission an update. Since we had a recent incident dealing with a police take-home vehicle, or police use of the vehicle and equipment, and police policies.
Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager. On Saturday afternoon, one of our officers was attending an event up at Rob Sullivan Park in DeBerry. During the course of the time that he was up there, someone broke into his squad car, in which he had his firearms, his duty weapon, a personal owned shotgun, and several other department pieces of equipment. Essentially, because we have a take-home policy which was enacted back in 2003 and reviewed in 2014, assigned vehicles are allowed to be taken home because of several different reasons. And I'm just going to read this to you as far as the policy is concerned. The object of assigned vehicles, take-home vehicles, is to promote cost-effective use of police equipment, extend the life of the vehicles and reduce maintenance, decrease response time to emergencies and complaints, increase law enforcement visibility for the purpose of deterring criminal activity, promote better community relations by increasing the number of personal contacts and services, and to provide a benefit to the loyal officers for remaining with the Sanford Police Department. The take-home policy reads as designated by the Chief of Police, the Chief of Police, Deputy Chief, Captains, Lieutenants, Administrative Manager, and Public Affairs Officers are 24-hour employees and considered to be on duty status and having the personal use of take-home vehicles. The vehicles are to be used in Seminole County and the contiguous counties of Orange, Volusia, Lake, and Brevard. Additionally, the assigned duty on-call sergeant and duty investigators will have personal use of the take-home vehicles as described above during the hours they are on call for that period. Employees assigned to take-home vehicles shall not be permitted personal use of the vehicles except as provided in this policy. Essentially what happened is he took the vehicle home, which is one of the things that we allow our officers to do, and he used the vehicle outside the scope of the policy. As it also reads, office employees residing within the city of Sanford will have personal use of their vehicles, their take-home vehicles, within the confines of the city limits. Sanford police employees, while operating the vehicles, are prohibited from transporting alcohol, beverages, parking in unacceptable locations such as adult entertainment centers, bars, nightclubs, liquor stores, or other locations where alcohol is consumed exclusively. Sworn employees under Section 6 shall have their police identification, radios, firearms, handcuffs, MCTs, and cell phone with them at all times where operating the vehicles. Under the section that deals with operation, designated employees are authorized to use take-home vehicles so that they may be available to respond rapidly when needed for department business. They shall be appropriately equipped for dealing with emergency situations while driving their vehicles both on duty and off duty, to include monitoring all radio transmissions that are expected to be observant. Under the portion that deals with safety and precautions, which is Section 3, Title 2, all firearms shall be removed from all police vehicles, department vehicles, when the sworn employee is off duty and not operating the vehicle. And in the supplemental section, it says that any personally owned equipment installed or stored inside of the vehicle is done at the employee's own risk. The police department is not liable for theft, damage, or of personal property. Essentially, the officer who was involved in this incident was issued a internal affairs complaint today by our office. The burglary to the vehicle is being investigated by the Volusia County Sheriff's Department. They are working with our internal affairs department to review the circumstances as to what took place. There are a number of other departmental violations that we are looking to go over. But as of right now, the officer is assigned to a desk duty until such time as the internal affairs investigation is completed.
Just want to make sure that the commission is aware.
Can I just ask a quick question?
Yes, sir.
Why, would it be standard practice, or is this, it's probably under investigation, why is personal shotgun would be?
why is shotgun using
At any, thank you. That's all I've got.
Yeah, that's, my husband was asking that same thing when he saw it.
And all of these were in the passenger compartment, not in the trunk.
He was driving an SUV.
Okay, any other questions for Chief?
No, but Chief, I do have to say, I don't quite know how to say this, appreciate you being so incredibly proactive.
Well, that's what I was just gonna ask.
Yeah.
Trying to give a compliment, but not sure how to say it.
It's okay.
You're right on it.
We're on it. Right away.
In the SUVs, is there provision to lock firearms? And is that something we should look into?
Okay, now I'm gonna scoot to the.
I will tell you is that when you are not operating your vehicle, your firearm is supposed to be either with you or secured. And in this case, it was not. the vehicle that he was driving is a lease. So there are only certain things that we're allowed to manipulate inside of those vehicles without us having to pay for it when we turn the vehicles back in.
In our regular police cars, though, there are
Yes.
safe.
Any other vehicles that we own, we are in the process of revamping those vehicles to ensure that they are target hardened.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you, Chief.
Yep.
That concludes our part.
Okay. Randy, you got anything? Nope. Art, you got anything?
Yeah, I may have a Boy Scout at the meeting tonight, and it sounds like there's going to be discussion, but just in case, if I have to play devil's advocate, then I can push it. I need to make sure he gets some discussion.
What?
I need to make sure this Boy Scout gets some discussion
To report on the meeting.
from the meeting.
Oh.
It sounds like there's going to
I
be,
can hear it.
but just in case, if I play devil's advocate.
Well, don't do it too much.
I won't.
I ain't sitting there for 2.5 hours.
Oh, no.
We got 3 items. No.
I've heard about
I called the
Make sure he
question.
gets 5 minutes.
I'm looking at it right now. I drove right down there, 7:30, 7:45 on my way home with Joshua. I looked, I said, man, they're already done. And then I got home and I called him the next day. I was like, how long did that meeting go to? He's like, 9:30, man.
With a couple additional words.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Williams, okay. Mr. Colbert, you got anything? Okay, thank you all.